PAGS Seguro, together with its subs, engages in the provision of financial and payment solutions for consumers, individual entrepreneurs, micro merchants. So payment systems in Brazil and internationally. This is a small cap, 2.3 billion. Revenue is nice and high. Over the 1 year, it's really dropped. Year to date, it's up 19%. Wow, that's great. 1 month, 20%. Very good. So the forward PE is super low, 6. It's discounted by 80%. So when did they announce? Have they announced? February 26th. So we're 3.5 weeks from that event. So it's around the corner. Go for it, Scott.
Oh, Victor, by the way, if you want a fun graph, take a look at KLA, or not Tencor, sorry, but KLA Corporation graph for their entire life, because it was somewhat flat until, let's say, about 4 or 5 years ago. And then it just started. But I think that's just the AI boom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it just went up like a rocket, basically, with NVIDIA.
Incredible. So PAGS Seguro revenue has been expanding. That's a very good sign. That's a very optimistic sign. You see that their revenue, revenue growth is not like in early years when you're tiny. Yeah, you're going to grow at very large amounts because you're so small. But for them, they're pretty good size now, and they're growing at a very good clip. Very good. So revenue is accelerating. That looks good. So free cash flow went negative after being positive. And we're going to look at the quarterly there. Gross margins are good. Okay. So they've had negative cash. They're growing. That's good. What's going on in that cash? What is causing them? So they are profitable. Depreciation gets added back. And some negative items here. Change in accounts receivable. So they're growing the amount of accounts receivable they have from their customers. So that is a risk item. It's like, what if their customers go bankrupt and they can't pay them? So that's a risk item. And it's been eating away at their free cash flow. They need to get that down. So that would be the one note as a stockholder is got to manage. I got to watch that. They're going to announce in 3.5 weeks. That's a line that I need to watch. If it goes to a positive, very good news. If it continues to show negative, that's not good. Because that means more of their customers owe them money. And if a good number of those customers go bankrupt, can't pay, don't want to pay, it's going to hurt them. So got to watch that line. That's the number one line that's affecting their cash flow. Okay. Everything else looks okay. So you got it. This is a homework item. On the earnings, you got to be all over this and bring this stock up when they do their earnings, Tomas. We'll take a look at it and we'll examine what the heck's going on with this accounts receivable. On the earnings call, somebody should ask that. Hey, what are you going to do about this increasing accounts receivable balance? Are you concerned that people aren't going to pay you back? The stock's working. It's going up for good reason. It's growing its revenue. That's very good.
All right. I will try to dig into that. So maybe we can have some answers.
Yeah. And even if it went flat, like, okay, well, it didn't go up or down. That's good news. Because they are growing their business, which means that they're getting more customers. So those customers have terms, so they owe them, accounts receivable. So, okay, I'm accepting of it to some level, but not to the point where it takes you to a cash negative position. And I want to see some sense of, okay, that number needs to go down. These customers need to pay you, and then your cash flow should really start flourishing. That'd be one homework item that's important on that. These guys, analysts, 12 of them cover it. They're very optimistic. Wow. Worst case scenario is not that bad. Average, it should go up substantially. When we look at their stock, over the 5-year, boy, they were really valuable back in 21. The stock was really valuable as of August, and it's really dropped, but now it's beginning to go. Look at even there, it doesn't give us the full picture. When we look at from really the last month, it's really working. Very good timing. What's the timing of your buy on this thing? When did you buy?
I bought at the end of December.
Nice.
Yeah. I
Tomas,
thought the same. Yeah.
the stock picker extraordinaire. Good job. So this one here, the homework on it is you got to keep track of this accounts. The revenue looked great. Profit good. Margins good. Balance sheet fine. Accounts receivable. Guys, what are you doing about this? You can't continue to grow your accounts receivable this fast. At some point, that's going to become a huge concern. So we got to see that go down. All right. So that's PAGS.
Thanks, Victor.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure. That's, these are the kind of businesses, man. If these guys turn into the next StoneCo, which StoneCo for a while was just ridiculous returns, to the upside, or PayPal, or that kind of thing, man, these guys could really, really reward. And it's a low stock price, so it could double like in a year, and you'd be sitting pretty. When would you sell this? You have to really watch the stock for bad news or concerns. Okay. And this is a risky stock. What would I do? This isn't advice to you, but man, if I doubled my money or tripled my money, I'd have to really think hard about like selling it and selling at least half of it, because this is the type of stock that, like StoneCo, it went up really nice and then it came down. I still made money on it, but I could have made a lot more money if I sold at the right time. See
So
this? Oh my God.
The chart from PayPal and PAGS Seguro are very similar, and they only get different in the last month. I don't know, maybe it's the same story with StoneCo.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and see how this stock here.
Yeah, the same with StoneCo.
If you bought at the right time, this thing just took off 400%. So even the investor that said, "Oh, okay, I'm out. I'm out at 40," and then they saw the stock go up, and you're like, "Oh no, I missed out." And then they visit the stock again. They're like, "Oh, okay, no problem. I'm not sad that I sold it anymore because it really came down." This can happen again, right? You have these companies are high growth companies, and it could be. I just don't feel like these stocks are. They're not going to be like Meta or Apple. They just keep going up. No, they're going to have periods of time when they do really well, and then they're going to have periods of time when they do terrible. And look, they're kind of trading right with each other, right? See that? So that's really cool. So your exit strategy, you don't need to worry about it now, but hopefully, I'm hoping you have this good problem. A year from now, you've doubled your money and you're like, what do I do? Okay. So that's when you need to think about, okay, do you still have a very optimistic view of the stock? It's going to keep growing. Okay, cool. You can keep it. Do you sell 25% of it and say, okay, a win's a win? Now I'm kind of playing with the house's money. I got all my investment back, and all the stock that remains is pretty much for free. That might be what you do, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's wait for that good problem. Hopefully that problem lands on your shore where you're like, oh, this stock's now trading, and for the case of PAGS Seguro, it's trading at $15 a share. What do I do now? Okay, well, you'll need to make a few decisions, and not changing your position is a decision. It's a passive decision, but I hope you have that problem. Okay.
I hope so too.